If you have a question during the show, we want to hear it. Your input is a big part of what makes this show successful, and we thrive on your energy and insights. Whether it's a quick comment, a thoughtful question, or an opinion you just have to share, don't hesitate to drop it in the chat. Now, if you want to make absolutely sure your message gets on the air and featured on the show, there's an easy way to do that. Use the super chat feature. Just click the $ at the bottom of the chat box to send in your super chat. This guarantees that your message gets on the air, and it's also a fantastic way to support our channel. We really rely on your support to keep bringing you the sports content you love, and we appreciate every bit of it. So go ahead, let us know what you're thinking. Hit that super chat button, and let's keep the show as interactive and exciting as possible. And if you prefer, you can also go to the gsmcpodcast.net to tip, donate, and leave a comment or question there. We couldn't do what we do without your amazing support, and we're so thankful to have you as part of our community. We start off with the Manchester City and Arsenal draw. Obviously, there's a lot to discuss here. Some controversial decisions, some red card, red cards, all that. A lot of tensions, heavy rivalry brewing, a little element of nastiness to the game that we don't really see much in this day and age. There was we have that to discuss. We have last minute goals, wonder goals like we saw from Calafiori. It was just amazing. Everything happened. Everything was going on in this game, and it really is. It really had everything going. I believe on YouTube in America it was like the 9th trending thing. And keep in mind, this is on a Sunday where there's NFL. Where the Dallas Cowboys are taking on the Ravens. With the Chiefs taking on the Falcons, the Niners playing the Rams. This is and this was one of the top watched events, most trending events on YouTube ahead of all those games. So there was a lot going on. And going back to Arsenal, where to start off? Look, this is a very good game. A lot of things going on. 4-0. We thought, I thought entering this game, this was going to potentially be another one of those snooze vests. Last year, City and Arsenal took on each other. Both games, even the one with the late goal at the Emirates early on that Arsenal were able to win, both games were pretty boring and a little dead to watch and a little hard to watch. This game was anything but. You had high-flying football, high-energy football in that first half specifically. Erling Haaland, we know what he's done so far, 9 goals in 4 games. He makes that 10 in 5 games with that opening goal, the fastest player to get to 10 goals in a season. The goal came in the 9th minute. Brilliant. A lot of people doesn't talk about this. They talk about Haaland scoring the goal, and rightfully so. It was a really, really good goal, and the way he held his run to make sure he wasn't offsides, because the ball being played in wasn't exactly played in, as quick as it should have been. But nobody talks about Savio in that position. He receives the ball, and he just has a quick sort of half Cruyff turn that allows him to get away from a Calafiori that's charging at him, that's trying to make a play on the ball. And then it allowed him to get into space where he was driving into space. And then, yes, you could say he played it just a little bit too late, but Erling Haaland, being able to hold his run, not taking the bait, not going off sides, holding his run, making sure he was level with Gabriel. And then the ball gets played into him, which is straight down the straight splitting the center halves, which I have some people that were critical, that were very critical on the positionings of the center half. I do have to say Gabriel and Saliba were put in a vulnerable position with that Calafiori. He decided to commit on Savio. When Savio got past him, Gabriel, he sees that Calafiori is committing there. He's going to have to he's gonna have to take a few steps to his left hand side to protect the space that Calafiore leaves committing for that ball. That allows the center halves to get split with Saliba and Gabriel. I do think once Savio continues to drive the ball forward, I do think there's a little bit of time for Gabriel and Saliba, both of them, to tighten up the space in between them, to close off the lane for Erling Haaland to run through. They they don't react to that. They're trying to play Haaland off almost, and then the ball gets played in, and then again, really good finish outside of the boot. Very similar finish to Nicholas Jackson he had earlier or a day before. That really good finish he had against West Brom. Similar, outside of the boot. Really quality finish there from a quality player, and there was a lot of talk of him not showing up in big games. So that was a big moment, and you can see from the celebration, that was a big moment for him getting that goal. And then I thought Arsenal's response was pretty good in terms of the fact that I didn't think that the pressure getting away, going down early, playing away didn't really get to them. I thought they started playing some really good ball. I thought they were, they didn't create that many clear-cut opportunities following the goal, but they played themselves back into the game. They weren't dominated after that opening goal. I do have to say, I thought the response for Arsenal in general was good. I thought they were able to have control of the ball in certain areas. I thought they held on to the initial line of pressure that came from City, and then when the opportunity came that they could take advantage, they took advantage, and it came around the 21st minute with a quick free kick being played, which there's controversy regarding that in terms of whether or not it would have been allowed. But before we get to that, so quick free kick gets played into the pass of Martinelli. Kyle Walker talking to the referee, a little bit late getting back. He does get back into a positioning that he's in between Martinelli and the goal. He has himself a goal side, and he's in a good position there. He's in a position to stop Martinelli from, getting into the box, and he's also, in a good position to prevent Martinelli from putting in a cross. In that position, Kyle Walker defending Martinelli, Savio decides to, play a little bit closer to Kyle Walker just to allow, if Martinelli does cut inside, to double him up potentially. And that leaves Calafiore coming in late, and one of the top goals that I've seen so far this season. I mean, it was absolutely true. That strike was true. Sensational strike. The curling effort to it. The way as soon as it left his feet, you just thought, oh, this is gonna belt into the back of the net. It just looked like pure class, pure quality. It was a sensational goal. And by the way, that's his first start for Arsenal. For that moment to come in this game, in this, at the Etihad, what a moment, what a goal. And honestly, that and the set piece, it was gonna take moments like that for Arsenal to create, because this is an Arsenal team that hasn't created much from. In fact, since Odegaard has been out, they haven't scored any goal from open play in terms of, this is a goal from open play obviously, but when I mean a goal from open play, as in, it was either going to be like a wonderful moment of magic like this, or it was going to come off a set piece like they did against Tottenham, like they did on the second goal here today. And then this is going to be like a moment of magic, a moment of quality. That's the way Arsenal were going to score in this game. And it was amazing moment, amazing goal for Calafiore. Regarding the controversy of that decision, look, whether or not the referee should have allowed Kyle Walker to, go back, there's a room for interpretation there. I personally think he should. If he's calling him to have a conversation, then he should give him more than enough time to, get back into his proper positioning. But what's not arguable at all is the free kick was not played at the right area. It was played like 10 yards in front of where the foul actually occurred. So there, that's inarguable there. Okay, so then they get that goal. Then the second goal comes from Arsenal. Set piece. They take advantage of set piece. And honestly, they could have taken advantage minutes earlier because Martinelli had a very similar opportunity from that similar range. Couldn't really get, couldn't, redirect it back into the goal. Couldn't get underneath the ball there. But, that was a warning sign to City. And I tell you what, literally like 6-7 minutes later, it's the exact same play. And it's an interesting, this is a set piece play that they've practiced before. All the players, as Saka is starting to run up to take the corner, a lot of the players, go to crowd the goalkeeper. And it's really made this, set piece opportunity is really made for Gabriel. He's the primary target here because he's the only one that is making that run into the 6-yard mark to attack the ball. Everyone else is, basically being used to block off Ederson, and he's able to do a nice little hesitation on Kyle Walker right outside the penalty mark, and then he runs with momentum into the 6-yard area, and he, it's a walk-in. It's an easy header for him to make from that position. He had an opportunity like that earlier, couldn't take advantage of, and just like that, you can't give a guy like him, Gabriel, two opportunities to hit a header like that. Some people are arguing should that be should that be allowed or not? Oh, come on, man! Like, stop talking. Like, this is football. You could crowd the keeper. If anything, Ederson, and a lot of goals has happened so far in the past couple of weeks. Where crosses being played in the 6-yard area. You had the Vicario against Arsenal. You had two actually from Mike Maignan going up against Liverpool. In these sort of situations, especially on this one, if I'm Ederson, the ball is not really bringing with, crossed with electric pace. Yes, you're getting crowded, but you kind of have that. You kind of have to have that, mentality. You're a goalkeeper. You need to have a command of your 6-yard area. You need to have that mentality. Okay, if I'm going through everyone to get the ball. If you're gonna come and get in my way, well, I'm gonna go through you, and you're gonna feel it. He has to have that sort of mentality, because that's what's, when you're getting crowded and the ball is being played in the 6-yard box, you need to have that mentality. I'm going to get to that ball no matter what. And if I have to go through an Arsenal player, so be it. If I have to go through my own player, so be it. But a ball is not coming in my 6-yard box and I'm not getting on the end of it. I get to use my hands. They don't. They don't get to use their hands. So for me, I thought Ederson, and I'm not saying it was a goalkeeper mistake or anything, but for me, I really think that he should have that mentality. I'm getting that ball no matter what, and no matter who I have to go through. So that goal happened to make a 2-1 Arsenal. Then the big moment in the game that everyone's talking about, huge moment, came in around the 51st or 2nd minute or so. This is in first half stoppage time, so 45 plus about 7 or 8 minutes or something of that nature. Trossard gets sent off. Initially watching it, I thought it was for the initial sort of shoulder lean that he makes on a 50-50 ball with Bernardo Silva. But then, later on in the second half, when I was going through social media, I realized that he was actually sent off for the kicking of the ball away after the whistle, which, yes, it was after the whistle. There's no clear, that's very, very clear. It was after the whistle that he made that kick. And yeah, he got the second yellow. And I have to say, look. Yes, it's harsh. And for Arsenal to get done by two of these in the last, few games or so with the Declan Rice incident, now this is, very unlucky. But in both situations, Declan Rice and Leandro Trossard gave the referee an opportunity to give that second yellow. And That's something Mikel Arteta has to address with this Arsenal team. The discipline has to be better. They can't continue to give the referee an opportunity to make that play. It's a really, really stupid thing to do when you're on a second. Number one, forget the kicking of the ball after the whistle, which is a yellow card. There's no arguing that by the rules of the game, that is a yellow card. But on top of that, there was the initial, foul that he committed on Bernardo Silva, going for that 50-50 ball where he's leaning in with the shoulder into the back of Bernardo Silva. Why even make an attempt on the ball like that when you know you're on a second yellow? The way you play when you're on a yellow card versus when you're not on a yellow card should be very, very different. And I understand you're playing against City and you want to take advantage of every opportunity that comes. And if there's a chance you can win the ball in a dangerous area, you want to win it. But that's just, you have to be better. You have to be more disciplined. You have to change the way you play when you're on a yellow. You have to change the way you play. And you could see from that red card, the desperation on the Arsenal players pleading. You saw Saliba, you saw Saka, you saw Jurriën Timber, the desperation on their face, especially with Timber and Saliba, because they know how difficult it is playing with 10 men. They faced it against Brighton, and they know with the second yellow and a red card, there's no chance for VAR to intervene. They find it, and then you saw Mikel Arteta putting his jacket in his face, the frustration he had as well. But again, and yes, it's very, very harsh and very, very unlucky that Arsenal have gone on the wrong end of these sort of decisions now within a few weeks. And in those two red cards have probably cost Arsenal, 4 points so far in their campaign, with the red card against Brighton that cost them 3 points, and then this one. But that's football. That's football. And then we know from the moment that they got down to 10 men, that second half was gonna be very defensive football for Arsenal, playing away at the Etihad, playing with 10 men. We knew they were gonna get 11 men in the box and defend for their lives, and they defended incredibly. How many times did Ruben Diaz and Mateo Kovacic have the ball at the edge or Kyle Walker have the ball at the edge of the box and just try to shoot a prayer because they had no opportunity to play in between the lines against this Arsenal team? They were very, very good defensively, very, very compact. They made last-ditch tackles that were needed. They didn't give up many clear-cut opportunities. There was not space to play in. There was no space to play in behind. Really, overall, they defended really, really well. Raya made some very good saves as well. And City were pretty poor too. No overlapping, no real, didn't move the ball enough from one end from one side of the pitch to the other. Didn't make little runs that potentially could attract defenders into certain spaces that you can find pockets to take advantage of. There was none of that. There was none of that. The Man City, they looked poor. They do really look poor, and they never looked like they were able to break them down. And eventually the moment came on a quick corner kick, ball played in, and very at the last minute, and it's extremely, extremely heartbreaking for Arsenal fans to drop points in that manner. But eventually it came, but this was a City team that looked very, very devoid of chance creation, and it wasn't good enough. It was a lot of praying, shooting the ball and praying. For a team playing against 10 men, they had 28 shots and all that, and they dominated that second half. But again, not enough clear-cut opportunities. And eventually the moment came, on the short corner kick being played in, Jack Grealish playing the ball into Kovacic, good save by Raya, and then Stones with the follow-up. And then Haaland throwing the ball at Gabriel afterwards, and all the things that ensued after the kickoff. I love that part of the game in terms of the rivalry and all that. The Haaland throwing the ball at Gabriel, that's pretty weak. That's pretty weak. He has his back turned to you. Not only did Haaland throw the ball at Gabriel's head, but he went on to run away. If you're going to do something like that, at least, stay there for the moment. So you could be a man. Don't just commit, and don't just do something like that from with someone back turned and then just run away. You know, for me that was a little weak. But yeah, obviously disappointing blow from Arsenal. I think with the fact that they are you know down to 10 men and they were coming in without Odegaard, their most creative player, probably their only creative player. Um, they would have taken a point at the start, but with the way that with the way that they conceded that second goal, obviously it's gonna be really really heartbreaking. But look, Arsenal may have lost the battle, and I know this is a really crazy thing to say, given the circumstances of what happened, but the war, they might have lost. They didn't lose the battle actually. They drew the battle, but they might have lost 2 points. But the biggest thing that could have came out of this game for Arsenal is that Rodri ACL injury, which we'll discuss later on. Because look, obviously it's we don't wish upon injury on anyone, and definitely I don't. I'm not an Arsenal fan or anything, and it's sad to see someone go down with torn ACLs. Really devastating, not just for him, but for Manchester City. But that could be something that could give Arsenal real hope going forward. So